This episode of the Poundcast is in part brought to you by Louisville Vegan Jerky Company. They make Louisville Vegan Jerky. That's right. It's meatless, soy-based jerky, and you can find them at lvjco.com. And they have lots of different flavors you can choose from, such as buffalo hot wing, pepperoni pizza, smoky Carolina barbecue, and they also have limited edition flavors that they come out with every month. And the newest flavor, perfect for the holiday season, is honey glazed ham. Okay? To quote the website, this is a juicy, savory ham flavor topped with a sweet glaze that deliciously balances the saltiness. And get this, 10% of sales of this flavor go to the Dare to Care Food Bank, which has been helping out families in Kentucky for the past 55 years. So if you order on the website and use the code word Poundcast, you get 20% off your order. Now, this stuff is bagged in the United States. It has a shelf life of 9 months, and you don't have to order it online. If you want to order it in person at stores, you can find it at places like Whole Foods and Sprouts. And just check out their website, lvjco.com. Once again, use the code word Poundcast and get 20% off your order. Welcome to the Poundcast. My name is Brent Weinbach, and I'm here with comedian Matt Fulchiron.
Great to be here.
Thanks for being here, and otherwise known as the Full Charge.
Some people call me the Full Charge.
When did you get that nickname?
I got this nickname in 1995.
Okay,
I'm gonna say
it was just before you started comedy.
A long time, really.
Okay.
I mean, back then, when you're young, 3 years is a long time.
Yeah.
You know, so when I think of 1995, I'm worlds away.
Okay, yeah,
from grabbing the mic at the Laugh Factory.
I hear that, yeah.
But I was in a hip hop band called the Pimp Daddies.
Wow.
So
okay.
you gotta have nicknames when you're a rapper.
Yeah.
Right. So I was Soul Train at first. I just kind of, the way my first hip hop band came together, we were called the Kevin Murphys. And named after our high school bully.
Oh.
Me and my friend Brandon, we went to our friend's house who was in a band, and they were getting ready. We were going to go out somewhere, and we just started playing the drums and rapping. And so I just called myself Soul Train out of the blue, and it stuck.
You didn't have any reason for calling yourself Soul Train. It just...
I made up why I was called Soul Train later. I was like, I wasn't born with the soul. I had to be trained.
Oh, okay. But in the moment, it just sounded cool.
In the moment, we were just freestyling and stuff, and we freestyled our biggest hit, Why You Looking at My Butt?
Oh.
Bitch.
Yeah. Oh, okay, yeah.
We were about 18 years old, 19
yeah.
years old, and I was just listening to you and Josh Fadum talk about how, like, you don't love bitch in a punchline. But again, we were novices.
I don't like that. I don't like that.
Yeah, that's right.
I think I should be okay with that.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Well,
yeah.
I wouldn't write this song today. I
think you should.
No, I'm not coming out with this now.
Just get back to your roots. You know?
This is over. I'm glad to develop my art.
Yeah,
it was practically comedy. This rap group.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah,
but I was glad to develop offline.
So, okay, then you changed Soul Train to Full Charge?
Well, I didn't really change it.
I mean, look, your name sounds like Full Charge, kind of. That's why. It
does, and so that's what happened. So I was at the skateboard park in Baltimore called Lansdowne.
So you're doing rap and skateboarding.
I was living the life, dude.
Yeah.
I'm the epitome of a 90s Pepsi commercial.
I mean, it sounds like you are a kid from Kids, almost.
I am. I was dressed like one.
Is that right?
I wasn't as much of a degenerate. I was in college. I drank, didn't do any drugs, wasn't looking for virgins to impregnate, or whatever that plot of that movie is.
To give AIDS to. You weren't looking for virgins to give AIDS to.
Not interested. Not interested in the plot of that movie. But definitely love the music, the skateboarding, and the clothes. But anyway, there was this young kid there, and he asked me what my name was, and I said my name was Matt Fulchiron, and he just goes, "Full charge?" Like questioning, is it full charge?
Heard you incorrectly.
And I go, yes.
Oh, that's funny.
Like, I'm not going to correct you because, yes, that's is my name from now on.
I had a similar experience in junior high. It was the first day of school, and the teacher was taking our taking a roll, and then they said Weinbach, Brent Weinbach, and then someone said, "Your name is Prince Weinbach? Your name is Prince?" And I said, "Yes, I'm Prince." And so that was my nickname for a while. I was just Prince.
And you just bowl, and that's a great
Prince,
nickname.
and then I dropped the Weinbach for a while, and I was just going as Prince.
That is so nice. And then you were a symbol eventually.
Then I did, and then people had to say formerly known as Prince or whatever, formerly known as Weinbach, and it was confusing for a little bit. I went back to Prince.
Yeah.
And but
it doesn't really end there because I left all this in Baltimore, but then I'm in LA doing comedy, and I did this thing that comics used to do where I'm waiting in line to play the Laugh Factory all day, and we had an unofficial list, and my name, Matt Fulchiron, was on the unofficial list. Laugh Factory gets a hold of the unofficial list.
Wait, what do you mean unofficial list?
Unofficial list is, okay, there's 20 people in line all day.
Yeah.
But we keep track of each other so someone can go get some lunch or somebody. It's like unofficial amongst us comics.
Wow, that's interesting.
And then you hide the list because it's illegal. You're not supposed to do this list. But they found the list. The Laugh Factory found the list. And they were like, anybody on this list cannot go up tonight. Oh. So, but we all go up and sign up under different names. And I signed the full charge.
Oh, really?
And my friend Lachlan Patterson was there.
Oh, really?
And so my old world bleeds into the new, and then he was the only one that knew, and then eventually everyone's calling me that.
So Lachlan started calling you full charge.
The full charge, and then I'm still doing open mics at the time, so the entire open mic circuit, if you will, is calling me the full charge.
How about that?
And then, but I never wanted to go on stage as the full charge.
Yeah.
I remember Sam Tripoli that night at the Laugh Factory was like, "You going by the full charge now?" And I'm like, "No, no, I can't live up to that,
But you do kind of embrace it, obviously. I think your Instagram account is the full charge.
Because at that point I was successful enough to have an imitator on Twitter.
Wait,
that said Matt Fulchiron, 0 followers.
Right. It was just a fake
It was a fake account.
I had one of those. It was really hard to get it deleted. I don't even know if it ever got deleted, actually. Yeah.
So I'm just like, well, I'm the full charge. And it's way easier for people to find me that. And let's face it, my career would go much better if I would just embrace the full charge and coming to the Albany Funny Bone, the full charge. People would be like, what the fuck is this? And they would go, but there's something about it. I can't go there 100%.
Well, I mean, the full charge, I feel like maybe you still, wait, do you still wear a suit on stage? Or
sometimes, not as much.
I feel like, you kind of have this classic kind of style.
Right.
And I don't know, classic energy, know,
right.
And I don't know, the full charge, I guess, is kind of a spin on an old classic, I guess.
I think so.
Maybe, but maybe it doesn't quite fit. I mean, it does sound more like a rapper name or something.
That's the thing. Yeah. They kind of don't go together.
But then maybe that works,
but if you know me, they do.
Yeah, maybe that works.
Yeah.
So you were wearing baggy pants in the 90s?
Definitely.
Really?
That was actually the first moment of my life, and the only time in my life where I was doing some fashion that I wasn't 100% sure of.
Really? So you weren't sure? Wow.
Because I was so identified as a skateboarder.
Mm-hmm.
It was my entire identity. And I started in 1985 when I was about 10, 11 years old. And then you get to the early 90s and you were in LA or San Francisco and
Los Angeles, yeah.
The pants got huge.
Absolutely.
Ridiculously huge.
Yeah.
To the point where people were buying Wranglers and regular dungarees at Kmart and just cinching the belt and wearing size 55 waists. And then the skateboard companies went ahead and sold $50 jeans that were small waist, big baggy.
Yeah.
And the thing about the 90s is even after I got off the huge jeans were still kind of baggy, relatively speaking. And then in the early 2000s, I embraced the thinner pants, the skinny pants, and then
by 2005, fashion had actually gotten to a much better place than it was in the 90s.
Totally.
And I kind of think, in part, maybe a lot, in part to due to the popularity of American Apparel in a way.
Yeah, I think so.
Right?
And
I think more preppy and more classic styles kind of became back in fashion.
The
it seemed.
Gap was cool for a little bit in the early 2000s.
Oh, okay.
Just basic sweaters.
Oh, yeah,
and like
yeah.
regular.
Yeah, just regular fitting stuff, you know?
And then there was what they're now calling indie sleaze, which is like the Strokes and everybody wearing the tight pants and like the blazers and even suits and all this stuff. But tight pants were a thing. Even amongst skateboarders, it started switching to like tight stuff.
So you felt uncomfortable in your pants when in the 90s
because I also
you felt a little too loose.
I also had just started college and I was like one of the only skateboarders at my college.
What was your hair like?
My hair was
was it long or were you kind of skin?
I went long. I went back and forth between long and the buzz.
Okay,
you know?
Buzz, yeah.
And
wow, you had a buzz cut?
I had a buzz cut, yeah.
Did you look kind of hard? Did you look tough?
Maybe you could see that in like a still photograph, but like if you're talking to me, I don't think anybody thought I was hard.
Really?
Yeah, no.
What did you ever wear wife beaters?
I did wear wife beaters sometimes. I'd wear like Newport Pleasure shirts I would get from thrift shopping in Baltimore at the time was a phenomenal experience. And then I'd also wear like Dickies.
Yeah, well, Dickies, sure. Yeah. You wore Ben Davis, maybe? No.
I never bought the name brands.
Okay, something that looked like Ben Davis, maybe.
Yeah, I would have loved Ben Davis because wasn't that like Mike D's company or Mike D wore that from the Beastie
I don't know,
Boys?
was he?
I was.
Did you feel like you were some sort of Beastie Boy yourself?
I was so into the Check Your Head album of the Beastie Boys when it came out in '92. I just can't tell you because I'm slightly older than you, and you have to appreciate that like License to Ill comes out when I'm like 11, 12, and it feels like a novelty record. And I kind of miss Paul's Boutique, even though I love the Hey Ladies video. Then I'm 18 or 17 when Check Your Head comes out, and I'm like, this has it all. If you're a skateboarder, it has it all. It has like the punk rock, it has the Beastie Boys themselves rapping, and then some stuff I was never, like that jazzy type music. I just couldn't wrap my head around that it was the Beastie Boys. And then the fashion of the Beastie Boys was the same fashion of skateboarding. I definitely wanted to be in the Beastie Boys and was obsessed with the Beastie Boys, which is a weird thing to be obsessed with a band when in the early 90s because you just had to look at the album cover a bunch. Or like...
You could watch MTV, I guess.
You could watch MTV and hope for the video. And we had a VHS called The Skills to Pay the Bills, which is about 10 Beastie Boys videos, and we would watch it every day, man. We would just watch it every day. So we were obsessed.
Did you ever meet them?
I never met the Beastie Boys. No, never met the Beastie Boys.
Did you used to talk with more of using a lot more urban vernacular?
For sure. Definitely. That's my era anyway, though.
Yeah. When was the turning point? When did you grow out of that?
I think...
Or did you never?
I think I could slip back into it just for fun, but I think I stopped. I just, maybe like in the past 15 years, the more you realize you're an adult, the more you stop. Like, I feel like I just kind of leaned in to be like more of an adult, and I felt ridiculous.
Do you feel
talking like a rapper?
Okay, was there a realization in your head, maybe even subconsciously, that you just want to be you or something like that?
Definitely.
And you don't want to try to be anything else, even though that's part of you, definitely, that, and that culture, is part of you. You grew up with it or whatever. But I don't know, maybe being as close to your true self as you can,
I think
something.
I think that's definitely true.
Because maybe that happens with people. Because people, I feel like, are, obviously when they're maybe on the younger side, they're really trendy because they're trying to be like everything they want to fit in. They want to be like everybody else in a way. And then maybe when the people get older, they feel like they just want to be normal or just be what's natural or something like that.
Yeah, I think for me, I was totally inspired and obsessed with all this music. And I just thought it was like funny and fun. But then at a certain point, I think I just felt ridiculous doing that. And I started to like more accept who I am. A college graduate.
Sure. Yeah. What'd you study?
Film production.
Where'd you go to school?
University of Maryland, Baltimore County. So
yeah, see, that's why I thought you were from Maryland.
I am.
Yeah, it's because you went to school there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also I don't know, for some reason I never thought of you as being specifically from Baltimore.
I'm not from Baltimore. I'm from Southern Maryland, which is 2 hours south of Baltimore. Excuse me, and it's totally different. I was thinking about why it was a unique place today, because it's like it's a part of Maryland it's more southern than Northern Virginia. It kind of coexists.
Okay.
It's at the bottom of a peninsula, so like you're kind of in the south.
Yeah.
But you're also on the water. But the part of the business of my hometown was a Navy base, so there were people coming in and out from all over the world, but mostly all over the country. So you've got like the rural aspect of a tobacco farm and a farming town.
Okay, it's kind of laid back.
Yeah, totally.
And then you've got tight, straight,
or just more.
And you've got a lot of this.
Well, you've got that on the Navy base, all right. But I'm talking about the children of the people that are
the farmers.
That, but also of the people. So the way the Navy works and Army works is people move every 3 years. So you got people moving from all over the country there for 3 years at a time, and they brought kids. They're bringing kids that I'm hanging out with, so they're bringing.
And then you had to say goodbye to those friends after 3 years?
Totally, but they're bringing like a culture and a flavor that wouldn't normally be there.
Oh, okay, so it's sort of a hub or something.
It is.
I mean, you're getting influences from different cultures and stuff.
Right.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well,
so I mean, that is a weird thing. But
right. So it's rural, but there's something cosmopolitan about it because of these kids coming in and bringing in, showing you what baggy pants are or whatever.
But that was skateboarding.
Yeah.
That was
showing you what skateboarding is. Maybe I don't know.
That is it.
Or showing you the Beastie Boys. Hey, check out! They got this band. It's three guys. I don't know. I know you don't get this out here, but it's these three guys.
The Beastie Boys were brought to us by MTV. There was nothing anybody could do about that.
That's true.
And it was a phenomenon. Like everybody liked the Beastie Boys.
TV is sort of the it's the great culturizer, you know? Mm-hmm. I mean, it doesn't matter where you live or where you're from, you can be cultured by just watching TV. That's how I did it, growing up in Los Angeles. There wasn't anything out here in Los Angeles. I had to rely on TV to show me the world, show me what a baguette was or whatever,
Did you know, though, that you lived in, like, a somewhat of a center of the universe? Or were you just like, kind of stuck in your little section of L.A.?
Yeah, it was, because, it wasn't, I mean, look, there were Hollywood things in growing up, but it also, there was most of it was not Hollywood. Most of it was just, I don't know. I had a lot of friends who lived in Koreatown, and I would be over there a lot. Hey, look, every now and then, I had a teacher in elementary school who somehow knew John Voight, and he came to our class and talked to us or whatever.
Yeah, that's cool.
I saw Mike Tyson once, in his Lamborghini Countach.
Yeah.
And my friend and I went up to him, and we asked him how to beat Mike Tyson's Punch-Out on Nintendo or whatever, and he didn't know, and he was with Robin Gibbons at the time. But stuff like that would happen every now and then. But no, a lot of it wasn't very Hollywood. In fact, I don't feel like I really explored the Hollywood aspect of it, or the production aspect of Los Angeles until I was an adult, really. And started to get involved myself a little bit or whatever.
It's amazing how much of LA isn't very Hollywood at all.
No, not at all. It's the opposite.
Yeah.
It's also the most, I don't know, it feels very, real to me in a way that is really opposite to the way people perceive Los Angeles to be or perceive Hollywood to be or whatever.
Absolutely.
And even within Hollywood, too, there's a lot of realness.
Well, my niece just came to visit, and she's like, can we go to Hollywood? I'm like, you don't want to go to Hollywood.
Oh, really? You mean like...
I was I'll show you the Hollywood sign. I'll show you Griffith Park. I'll show you this. But to go to Hollywood... It's not fun for a kid.
Well, it wasn't. I mean, Hollywood is better than it. Well, in the last 5, to 10 years, it's kind of gone downhill again. But it was. I mean, in the '80s, it was pretty bad.
Yeah.
I mean, it was really bad.
Right.
And it was just this really just scummy part of town, Hollywood.
Yeah.
And then they spruced it up, and the Kodak Theater, they built that.
Right.
And, it started to kind of regain a little bit of what it had in whatever, I don't know, the 50s or whatever. But then it's kind of gone downhill again a little bit,
I think so.
Yeah. But so you didn't take her?
I mean, no.
Really?
Took her
as a protective measure.
Well, I just don't know what I would take her to in Hollywood.
You could show her the stars on the street.
That's exactly what I didn't want to take her to.
Why? Yeah, I know.
Well, I don't think that's as big a deal.
You didn't want her to meet that robot man or whatever?
That I wanted. I wanted to see Spider-Man with dreadlocks.
Well, there's that.
I wanted to see all this stuff.
Yeah.
No, I just first of all, I didn't want to go to Hollywood Boulevard.
Sure, yeah.
And I don't, there's really not. Whenever I am there, I'm looking at tourists that just clearly look disappointed.
Right.
They didn't know what they were going to see, and they didn't find it.
I mean, okay, look, here's what you could do, I think, in Hollywood that might be kind of cool, and it's just something to just check out for just, you don't have to spend the whole day there.
Yeah.
But maybe checking out the Roosevelt Hotel, that feels like an old Hollywood kind of place, and you can go in for a second and take a look, and then take a look at maybe a couple of the stars, just check out Lou Diamond Phillips on there, or maybe Mel Blanc, he's there, you just see that, oh, look, there's Mel Blanc, remember all the voices? Yeah. It's him, you tell your niece, Bugs Bunny, boom, that's him right there.
Here's the thing. They don't know who Bugs Bunny is.
Oh, right. He's out
Yeah,
these days.
that's
How
over.
old is the niece?
The niece is about 8, 9, 10 years old.
Mm-hmm. No more Bugs Bunny, huh?
I don't think so, man.
She's more knows about Buster and Babs Bunny, I guess, right?
I think we're past that.
I don't know.
I think we're like every cartoon I see them watch has like cars as characters, but like they're definitely not going to know who Mel Blanc is.
Well, sure, yeah.
But
they will know who Lou Diamond Phillips is. I mean,
totally.
Come on, La Bamba. How they forget that?
Young people love Young Guns. And
Young Guns too. Yeah,
it's in the title.
Young people love Bon Jovi. That's their gateway to the Young Guns.
They can't get enough of it. Oh. But yes, that is what I would take like an adult to. I actually took my sister-in-law, and my brother-in-law to the Magic Castle.
Oh yeah.
Oh
yeah, that's cool. Yeah, they like that.
That's Hollywood.
Yeah.
They loved it. Who wouldn't love it? But you also have to like mention that like, hey, we're lucky to be here. You have to know a magician, and I had to talk to a magician to get Derek Hughes. Thank you very much, Derek.
Oh yeah, I know Derek too. Yeah. Well, he did comedy also.
Yeah, he was a comedian too.
Stand up, yeah. I mean, not to say that a lot of magicians do comedy. I mean that
they all have jokes now.
There's a whole comedy magic is a thing. I mean that's So there is a kids' day I think on Sundays, Sunday brunch. I think you could bring kids there.
At the Roosevelt Hotel?
No, at the Magic Castle.
I know. It just gets complicated with the reservations and the planning. There was 10 of them. And it just got too complicated.
10 visitors.
10 visitors. I'm under the gun to get this reservation.
Okay,
let me beginning of the year.
Well, hold on a second. So you had 10 visitors. They were who?
So I got my mother-in-law, I got 2 sister-in-laws, and 2 brother-in-laws, and I got 5 kids, 12 and under, all the way down to 3.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's fun. Where'd you guys go?
They were here for 8 days.
8 days. That's fun. They stayed in a hotel, I take it.
They stayed in Airbnb.
And did you take them to Disneyland?
No, they didn't want to go to Disneyland.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Took them to...
Hey, that's a good Hollywood place you can go. Is you go to California Adventure.
Yeah.
They got a little mini Hollywood there, and it's a lot cleaner. And
so just go to the fake Hollywood?
Go to the fake Hollywood. It's like kind of like a compact version of it. You don't have to worry about the robot guy or whatever. Maybe you wanted the robot guy.
Take them to Universal City Walk and just be like, "This is Hollywood." Just tell them it's Hollywood.
Actually, that is a good Hollywood place to go.
Yeah.
If you want to see Hollywood, go to Universal Studios. No, I'm not even kidding. That is a cool place to go to for if you want to see Hollywood stuff. You can see how they make movies and. There's that sound effects attraction that they have there, and people from the audience can do the Foley effects. It
didn't work out. Like that was in the mix.
Oh, it was.
But it never.
So where did you go? Where'd you go?
I'm trying to think now. It's all a big blur.
And at this point,
we definitely went to Santa Monica, the Getty, Yamashiro. You know that restaurant? It's above the Magic Castle.
Oh yeah, right, yeah.
Yeah, and the zoo. And I took some people to the Improv.
Oh, were you doing a show there?
No, but I got tickets anyway, which is way more fun.
Did you sit in the audience and watch the show?
Yeah, I got a great table. I felt
that's
like a
cool.
big shot. Yeah.
Who was on the show?
Nikki Glaser was on the show right before the Golden Globes, which I thought was like
testing it out.
Yeah, so I was like, hey, huh? You know, I felt like a big shot with
that.
I feel like an asshole, but I'm blanking on Chris Rock's brother's name. Tony Rock. Fahim, who you just had on.
He's great.
I was blown away by his set. I hadn't seen him in a long time.
I don't know how he churns it out. He's
so funny.
I don't know. He has so much stuff.
And it's all good.
Yeah.
I mean, he was so funny.
Sounds like a good show.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they were pretty impressed with that, the improv?
They were.
And had they been to Los Angeles before, these people?
Not really. They'd been maybe, 2 of them have been here a while ago, but never with somebody who knew the way around.
Were people thinking, do you feel like you gave the impression that, or made the impression that, like your wife, like they thought, were they telling your wife like, oh wow, this guy's pretty cool. He's pretty in the he's pretty in the know here.
For the first time. No,
it's pretty hip,
No, I do think that, I don't know how impressed they were, but I knew they were happy to go to the Improv, and even just driving them around, like I knew what everything was. Like, what's this? What's this? What's this?
Oh,
I think they had fun with that.
You had a big van that you're driving around?
We did have 2 minivans.
Were you kind of being like a tour guide, doing a Hollywood tour?
I was doing as best I could, mostly if they asked me a question.
And did you drive them into Beverly Hills or Bel Air or anything like that and kind of show them the houses?
I didn't take them to Beverly Hills.
You didn't get a star map?
I didn't do a
star map. Still exist,
I don't think so. I think you could go to starmaps.com.
That's what I was wondering.
Yeah.
There's no one selling star maps anymore. You know what I mean?
Which is
Remember
a shame.
those? People would be standing around. It says star maps, and then you could just get. I guess you get a map to some celebrity's home, which is kind of crazy, actually.
It is crazy. And they also had those they still have the double-decker tour buses.
Yeah.
That go around and are like, that's where Ben Affleck lives.
Oh, they go to people's houses in those.
Yeah, and there's even been 2 movies called Star Maps.
I've seen one of them.
Yeah,
and it's
the
about
90s one or the recent one.
The 90s one. Yeah, I saw it. I remember in the theater thinking, I remember when it came out, I thought, oh, that looks interesting. Star Maps. Let's check it out. And it's some kind of prostitution thing or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was still. I think it was interesting, as I recall. I don't remember what I thought of it actually.
It was.
You've seen it?
I haven't seen it, but it was at the time. I worked at an indie movie theater called the Sunset 5, right there on Sunset.
I used to go there all the time.
Yeah,
that was. I grew up right around there.
Right.
Yeah.
So I served popcorn there and worked the box office.
You worked there, huh? That's crazy.
Yeah, like I got the job within
And what year was this?
1997. I got the job within a week or 2 of moving here.
Yeah, that's crazy. I might have gone there.
I'm sure
because
I have.
I mean, even when I left to go to the Bay Area, I would come home for the holidays and stuff.
Yeah.
Or different, and I would go to that theater a lot. I went to that theater forever.
It was an awesome place to work.
Yeah.
Because the first day of work, I'm serving popcorn to Marilyn Manson and Rose McGowan. And just you're seeing all these celebrities and you're seeing all this. That was very Hollywood because that was the place to go. Like it was the indie movie theater to go. And indie movies were bigger than TikTok, man. It was like from Pulp Fiction to
the 90s was the heyday.
Yeah.
That was the heyday of independent film.
Even Quentin Tarantino came in to watch Jackie Brown, which came out Christmas Day 1997. And he just walks through the lobby in a tracksuit, and he's like, "What's up, everybody?"
That came out
What's
Christmas
up,
Day,
dude?
Okay,
yeah, I saw it. I saw the midnight
screening
of that.
I went to a couple midnight things there. One was this 3D porno. Do you remember? Maybe it was around that time. It might have been when you were working there.
When I first started working there. In fact, the first day I was working there, the midnight movies on Friday and Saturday were porn movies from the 70s.
Yeah, it was a 3D one. It was called Disco Girls and Hot Pants or Disco Girls and Hot Skin or something like that.
Yeah.
And, it was 3D glasses. And, you could see the penis coming out at you and it comes on you and stuff.
And tell the audience, the theater was packed. This shit was hip.
Well, it was like a hip thing, or it was a thing people went to not to get off, but they went to for a laugh or whatever. But there was a guy sitting next to me that looked like he was not there to laugh.
Yeah, so that's the other thing I was just about to say. Yeah. There's always 1 or 2 guys there that were there to kind of get off.
Yeah.
And women would come out and complain to the manager, like, this guy is like staring at me. And they'd be like, there's nothing we can do.
Right. Yeah. Well, no, I was in the same row as a guy. I remember seeing the guy, and I think he was even kind of rubbing his leg or something like that. Maybe it wasn't his leg. He was probably rubbing something else, but he was definitely into the movie in a totally different respect, you know?
But they also had, and I I'd stick my head in theaters here and there, and they would have
Spike and Mike's.
What?
Or go ahead.
Well, they did have Spike and Mike's animation.
I went to Spike and Mike's there once too. Yeah.
But at these adult movies, these porno movies from the 70s, they would have sometimes the actors from the movies come and do a little, like they do at the ArcLight.
And do a 3D performance. And do an in-person to complement, to make it really 3D,
right.
You know, to make it 4D. You know?
I just remember this one actress being like, yeah, we filmed, maybe it was I was in France, or maybe it was because I had so much wine in France, but John Holmes' dick really fucking hit me right, or something like that.
Oh, really? Yeah,
you know, like right in front of the audience.
So they had Q&A.
She's talking, in other words. She's up front talking. She's much older.
Yeah. Oh, that's so crazy. You worked right there at the Sunset 5, right during that time, you know?
And so everybody that worked there was a film school graduate.
Yeah.
And the reason I say I knew of that movie, even though I didn't see it, because
it played. I think I saw it there. By the way, I saw Star Maps right. at Sunset 5, and I remember even seeing it on the marquee there at Star Maps. Yeah.
Not only that, it was a company called Lemley, and they had theaters all over L.A. And
still do, kind of.
Man, that was a fun time. That was a really fun time.
Yeah.
I even got cast in an indie movie.
Oh, really?
Called Hollywood 5. That we filmed at Sunset 5.
Oh, no kidding.
Movie never came out, but
they cast you from seeing you at doing your popcorn work, or
it was another guy that worked there.
Oh, he made
it. And it was about people that worked there.
Oh, that's cool.
And I got cast, and it never came out, but they shot on 35 millimeter, and I got enough for like an acting reel that helped me.
Oh, yeah, that's cool.
Like get a manager back.
Oh, really?
In the day.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
But it was awesome because, you know, I was a main character, so I got to be like, I got to get like real comfortable.
Yeah,
and
I've
never had that much time in front of the camera again.
Yeah.
Where I just had a chance to be real comfortable, fuck around, time to learn the lines, kind of know you can't get fired. Like I never had that experience again as an actor. I don't have much acting experience.
You gotta make your own movie again.
I think I do.
Or just not again, or just make your own movie. Or maybe you did make one
I did that recently, honestly.
Oh, okay. And were you in it?
It's being developed at this company.
Oh, is that true?
Yeah.
Oh, okay then. And then you get to get loose in that one, or
not as much.
Well, you were in it
because I was the main character.
Yeah.
In the most recent thing I did.
Yeah.
But I was just one of 5 in that.
Yeah, but the Spike and Mike's thing, I went to that. The Sick and Twisted Festival of Animation. I think those were at midnight, maybe.
That was at midnight, and I think I saw that the first day I was there, and I saw this first South Park.
The first South Park was showed at that, yeah.
And what's funny is I then later, a couple months later, got a job at a video duplication place, and the first thing they did, I worked in the vault, so I had all these videotape masters.
Oh, wow, yeah.
And the guy that was training me did something he wasn't supposed to do. He's like, here's the South Park. He's like, you can take it home and watch it.
Oh, wow.
And I took it home and watched it, which is like not very legal.
Yeah.
But I returned it, so everything's fine.
Yeah, you know.
I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Oh, no, not at all.
But I, at one point, had these cassette tapes that, and this is before I knew who Judd Apatow was.
Yeah.
It was like Apatow Productions was storing these cassette tapes, and I looked at them, and they were all interviews with comedians from the 80s and also one of Howard Stern. And I would just, again, really illegal, I would put the tapes in my jam box and like hit play, which if I hit record by accident, that's really fucking Judd Apatow.
Yeah.
But I had all these interviews of Jerry Seinfeld from like 1983.
Wow.
Howard Stern.
It was him interviewing them?
It was him interviewing me. I think he was a kid. Yeah, I don't think he had a career yet.
Yeah.
And he was like, the tapes were from that. Obviously, this was much later. He was storing these tapes. And I remember I listened to the Howard Stern one, and he goes, I love when you guys don't play music for a while and you just talk. And Howard Stern goes, yeah, we're going to do even more of that. So it was like really cool to hear all these tapes. Gary Shandling.
Yeah.
You know, it was awesome.
Oh, that is cool. Yeah. I mean, did you work in a movie theater because you were into movies and stuff, or were you just sort of just wanted to get some kind of job?
I think both. So I was just walking around doing the thing where you're just walking around asking for job applications.
Mm-hmm.
And at Sunset 5, I'm sure I wanted to work there because I was hip to indie movies. I went to film school and I was into that stuff.
Yeah.
And I filled out the application and they're like, the manager will talk to you right now. And I was like, oh, awesome. And I got hired like right on the spot.
Did you, were you wearing your baggy clothes at this time?
I was wearing my skater clothes.
You were, yeah.
And I wore my skater. Well, you had to wear a button-down shirt and a tie
yeah.
to work there, but you could wear whatever else. But I was wearing my baggy pants.
You never got tattoos at all?
I never got tattoos. There was one time where I was going to go get a tattoo when I was 18. And I was just like, I had the same feeling as like doing a dangerous skateboard trick. I was like, I'm going to do it. I got in the car and I'm like, I'm not doing this. Because again, it was Southern Maryland. I would have to drive like 40 minutes to like whatever the tattoo place was. And I was just, for some reason.
Thought, this ain't me.
Somehow I said no because, and I'm glad I did because I was just going to get like a son, like John Frusciante or whatever from the Chili Peppers. And I'm glad I didn't have that because it's a copycat tattoo.
You don't want that.
It's just not me. Somehow I knew that I wasn't going to like the same shit when I was 48.
Good for you.
Than I was when I was 18. I don't know how I knew that, but I knew it.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and used to line up for the Laugh Factory during those days too.
In 1990. So I'm walking.
Because I remember I used to see those lines out there. And I thought, are these people lining up to get, like, are they trying to get tickets, or like what was going on, So, and I'd always see Bob Marley, his name. I was like, oh, they got Bob Marley playing here.
So that was the first comedy show I went to see was at the Laugh Factory because I'm like, if I'm going to do stand-up, well, let me just backtrack a little bit. So I worked at Sunset 5 and the Laugh Factory was across the street. And I was way too intimidated to drive in LA. So I used to skateboard to work.
Oh, really? Did you not have a car?
I had a car, but I was too intimidated to drive in LA.
Plus, you had everything there at the Sunset 5. You get Virgin Megastore. You could just listen to stuff there, test out some games, and then they had the Westward Ho if you need to get your groceries or whatever. I
don't know the Westward Ho,
but
I do know that part of my not wanting to drive in LA, I used to walk to Coach and Horses, which is a bar on Sunset, and I'm reading Doug Stanhope's autobiography much later, and him and Mitch Hedberg were going there every night just like me at the same time, and he's talking about the bartender.
Oh, really?
But I didn't know because I didn't know those two because I didn't know comedy at all.
Yeah.
I thought comedy was something from the 80s.
Right, sure, yeah.
So I'm walking, I look, I'm like, the Laugh Factory? I'm like, that's where they used to shoot a show called Comic
Strip Live, which was originally called LA Comic Strip.
Okay.
That was what it was, the first thing. And I think it might have been maybe just a local show, and then it became Comic Strip Live.
So there we are. Like, that was one of my shows. You want to talk about television bringing me the world?
Yeah.
That was one of my shows. It was on the same time as Saturday Night Live, so you had to flip back and forth. But I see comics like David Spade, Bill Hicks. I loved stand-up when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And then it kind of seemed like a fad, like the Rubik's Cube. It seemed like it was over. But I'm like, I got it in my head. I'm like, I should do this because I have history getting on stage and being a goofball with this rap music.
Were you making jokes too around, at the movie theater and stuff?
Totally. And I was totally known as like the rapper kid.
Oh, really?
Like I would walk in, everybody go, yo, 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 what's up, bro? Yeah, they were making fun of me.
So you kind of were using you had more urbanisms and stuff back then.
But I didn't even realize it. Yeah, because that was like, it was like my age.
Yeah.
It was my age. And like on the East Coast, like that's like if you watch The Sopranos, like AJ Soprano, like kids were like that. Like they wore the fitted hat.
I got to tell you,
big clothes.
I never saw The Sopranos.
Okay.
I never saw a single episode, but I had a dream about The Sopranos real recently.
Yeah.
It's funny you bring it up. I dreamt that the show was kind of spoiled for me. And that the reveal is that it's about vampires.
Oh.
And that you don't learn about this until season 3.
Yeah.
And that it turns out they're all vampires.
Right.
So that was, and I thought that's kind
True
of
Blood.
And I was kind of thinking, what? I said, oh, they're vampires, huh? And when does that come? They're saying, yeah, it doesn't happen until season 3 that you find out they're vampires.
Yeah.
Anyway, I just thought that was kind of a funny alternate version of The Sopranos where it turns out they're actually vampires.
It's not that far off.
Oh, really? Yeah, I guess not. I guess not. Maybe it is some sort of, I guess they are kind of in a way.
Yeah,
vampires,
for sure.
Because they suck people, right? I mean, they're not actually sucking blood, but they're just
drain people dry.
They drain people.
They bleed people dry.
They're also they do sucking of
people
dicks and things,
sucking
right?
each other's
dicks. I heard that there was
Yeah.
something like that. Soprano. I think
there's heterosexual sex, homosexual
and homos
sex
too. Yeah, right.
It's all happening on this HBO show. The Sopranos.
Do you think? Okay, that show's called The Sopranos, but they could do a bunch of follow-ups. You know, there could be the altos, there could be the baritones. I mean, you know, and it just gets deeper and deeper. Imagine this. Imagine The Sopranos, but they pitch the whole, all the sound down, a few notches every time they release it. And by the time you're at the baritones, I mean, you can't even understand. It sounds like they're all in a witness protection program because, they used to be in the mafia.
Yeah.
You know?
I think you should do this on
the baritones.
On YouTube.
The baritones. And their voice is all distorted. Yeah, I was involved with some crime, brethren.
Yeah.
And it's the baritones. And then maybe it gets darker, too, along with it. You know?
But it's also great because I feel like that would slow down the entire film. Mm-hmm. Like a 1 hour episode would be 2 hours.
Yeah, it lets you enjoy the experience.
So you enjoy it more.
Yeah, you get more out of it. Yeah. You just really, I mean, that's a great idea. I mean, I don't care. I mean, if you're HBO, I mean, eat your heart out.
You're just giving it away. You just gave that
I'm not even giving it away to you. I'm saying eat your heart out. I'm doing it. Eat your heart out. I'm doing it. I'm doing it. All right,
so I talked to my friend who was a sketch actor.
Oh, yeah.
And I saw him do live sketch.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I thought he was hilarious.
Where, the Groundlings or something?
No, it was actually very close to where we're talking about. It was on, like, right by Guitar Center on Sunset.
Yeah, man.
There was a theater right by Toy. You know that Thai restaurant?
Yeah, I used to take karate lessons right there. Do you remember that karate place there?
Across from Michael Jackson High School. You know what I'm talking about?
Michael Jackson Auditorium. Well, I used to... Well, when I was in junior high, I used to pick up the bus right there, at Sunset and Gardner.
Okay, Gardner, that's the word I'm looking for. I used to live right there. Actually,
one of my karate tournament or things was at that Michael Jackson Auditorium.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, Michael Jackson was one of the judges.
Shut up.
No, I'm just kidding. He would hold up his glove and stuff and give us a 1 through 5 rating or whatever.
What we know about him now, that's very disturbing.
Well, it's funny, when the allegations came out, at one point they put these boards over the Michael Jackson part of the audit. It used to say Michael Jackson Auditorium.
Yeah.
And they put these boards over the name Michael and Jackson.
I mean,
and it just said auditorium.
I mean,
but then when he died, they took it off.
Really?
Yeah. So then it said Michael Jackson Auditorium again.
Okay. I guess death is the ultimate cleanser.
It's the ultimate
redemption.
Something like that. Yeah, death. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, redemption through death.
Yeah,
that's interesting. Okay, well, anyway, so you were
so
over
I
there.
asked the guy. I go. How do you do stand up comedy? Like, how do I get on stage? Even though when I got my place in that neighborhood in West Hollywood.
Oh, where was your place?
It was right on Curson, and it was close to you know where Astro Burger is?
Yeah, across the street from Fat Burger.
Yeah, so it was
the ultimate rivalry,
Yeah, so that is, and it's still there today.
Yeah.
But it's right in that neighborhood.
Okay, great. So you were just in the thick of Hollywood, just really doing the Hollywood '90s thing.
I was doing it. I was living the movie Swingers.
Yeah, and when Swingers, by the way, played at the Sunset 5 when it came out.
There you go.
Yeah.
But my landlord, he was crazy, man. Like, we went to meet there, and he took us out to dinner at Toy.
Yeah.
This is when we're just looking at the apartment.
Yeah.
He gave this whole speech. He gave us beers, even though we would find out he was later an alcoholic, a recovering alcoholic who didn't drink.
Oh, yeah.
And he gave us all these beers, and we're drinking these beers. And he goes, when people came out to California in the late 1800s, they would look for gold, but all they found were, like mostly rocks and stuff. But every once in a while, they would find a gold nugget. You guys. You guys are my gold nuggets. And we're just sitting there like, what the fuck? But every other place we went to, we're like 22-year-old kids.
Yeah.
And they're like, you guys don't have jobs? And we're like, no. And so no one would rent to us. Here's this guy who wants to rent to us. But now he wants to invite the whole apartment complex, which is all dudes our age. Uh-huh. We go to Toy to eat Thai food.
Yeah.
And then we go to like Top Fuel, that coffee shop.
Uh-huh.
And we have coffee. And I'm watching amateur stand-up comedy for the first time in my life.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, this is horrible. I'm like, these guys don't have their jokes memorized. They're not funny. They're looking at the notepads. I had no idea this was going to be like the next 30 years of my life.
Yeah.
But anyway, he tells me, go line up at the Laugh Factory. And I actually show up with my skateboard and I wait in line and I go up and I'm like, I'm scared to death because there's a dude in line like, you've never done comedy before? He's like, dude, you don't do it here.
Yeah.
And he's absolutely right.
Right.
But I had told my friends I was going to do it and I wasn't thinking about it as a career.
Right.
Just kind of like a stunt.
Yeah.
I went up there, I did it. I got a bunch of laughs, even though I was like, forgot this joke, forgot that joke and messed up. But I was like, I remember like on the way home saying to myself, like, I want to be good at this and I know it's going to take a lot of work. But I had no idea.
Yeah.
Because I put what I thought was a lot of work into it. And even though the audience was laughing, I wasn't impressed with my thing at all.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like a born comic, doesn't it? I wasn't impressed with myself.
No, you must have probably got some sort of thrill though. You're probably downplaying how impressed you were, right?
No, I just think it's funny that like most comics are like, I sucked, and I immediately was like, I could have done better, even though.
You mean just being critical and stuff? Yeah, totally.
Even though it was above and beyond.
Actually, I don't know, man. Some comics do not have that kind of
I know
self-criticism. You know, I mean, I have really high standards for myself. You know, if I don't have a monster set, I'm thinking, yeah, it was all right. You know,
me too.
It's got to be, you know, for me to think I had a good set, I've got to really kill hard. You know,
me too.
But there are people who definitely barely get laughs, and they're like, "Yeah, I killed."
I don't understand that. I don't understand that.
I mean, I feel like it kind of goes either way.
Yeah,
you know?
I know.
Yeah. But so all right, so that's interesting that you were doing that whole lineup thing, you know, and
then I start.
Then where'd you start going?
Well, I'm like, I gotta do like some real open mics.
Did you go to the Unurban?
I went to the Unurban. So back then, you just go in the LA Weekly.
McReds.
Yeah, I did that.
Yeah.
I did everything.
Because the thing is in the late '90s, I would come down because I went to college in the Bay Area. I would come down, and I would try to, I would look, I'd try to see what was going on down here for comedy. Yeah. So I went to McReds and I went to Unurban.
Yeah.
I mean, I wasn't going there regularly. I just checked it out and I did some sets there.
It was all like. It all seemed like I wasn't even interested in getting into the clubs. Really, I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. Really,
yeah.
I was like, I'm just gonna keep doing these open mics. I had no, like, I wasn't like I'm gonna get up at the Improv.
Yeah.
3 years later, I auditioned to be at the Improv. But what I'm trying to say is, at that time, at the open mics and the book shows or whatever you want to call them, comedy was very what you would call alternative back then.
Yeah, sure.
And it was a lot of fun, just like. Taking the piss out of stand-up and just doing weird shit.
Yeah, I guess that's when alternative comedy was actually really a thing,
Because you had like Mr. Show, that sketch show, but they were all stand-ups, and I would see them around, and they would be doing the weirdest comedy.
Yeah, well, it was always, I feel like the idea of alternative comedy it's not real anymore.
It's not.
There's no difference really between. I don't feel like there's really a huge difference between comedians now, but. I guess as some sort of reaction to the 80s and the gimmicks of the 80s or whatever.
Yeah.
That it was sort of, they kind of wanted to just get away from gimmicks, I guess, and just try to
You wanted
reel
to
or
like
something.
do stand-up comedy without being a stand-up comedian,
or without it making it look like you have this act, or that the idea of acts or performing is corny or something.
Yeah,
like that.
the idea was to go up there and pretend like
you're just
you
funny.
couldn't give a fuck and like
right.
you lost a bet or something.
right.
People looking at their notes.
Oh well, there's that. Yeah,
people are like,
No. It's the idea of not trying.
Not trying. That's the 90s.
Yeah. Right.
Like I think you and Louie were talking about it recently on this podcast.
Oh yeah.
Like there was so I'm like a little bit older than you guys, so I'm more of the guy like you had to look like you weren't trying.
Right.
And like I think Louie was talking about like making money or hustling was ridiculous and awful. And every time a band was interviewed, they're like, man, I hate doing this interview. I hate doing promo. I hate photo shoots.
Right.
And you hear all comics talking about like, oh, my fucking agent. Oh, my fucking manager wants me to audition for a show and make money. You hear things like that.
Yeah. So it's in everywhere you went, it didn't matter if you were in clubs or, wherever, laundromats. People are gonna be doing the same kind of having that same sort of not trying thing.
Yeah,
it kind of I saw that a lot, especially for I don't know, female comics. It seemed like there was this thing of she's really cool because she's not
right.
I don't know, she's not trying too hard or something like that.
No, there was even an entire open mic that was part of the alternative scene, which was called
Uncabaret?
Westward.
No.
Yeah,
Oh,
but
no.
also Westward Brew Co.
Oh, that one. Okay,
was like
yeah,
an
yeah.
open mic version of it.
Oh, okay.
And like
yeah.
Zach Galifianakis would be there.
Yeah.
I think Jimmy Dore, like comics, like working comics would go.
Did you have any crazy Hollywood happenings at that time? Did you ever
Yeah.
see anything crazy? Did you ever think to yourself, man, this is Hollywood?
Yeah, dude, all the time.
Oh, yeah?
Because you had to be here to be part of this business back then, or like to be in movies, to be in music. You had to be here. And working at the Sunset 5, I saw everybody. And I even...
No, but did you see anything kind of crazy, though?
I can't think of anything specifically.
Were you ever in a room that you thought you weren't supposed to be in?
I would go to people's house parties all the time that I wasn't supposed to be at.
Oh, really?
Yeah, all the time.
What do you mean?
So, like, I don't even know how it worked, but I lived at an apartment complex full of people my age.
Yeah.
Who were like, it's like
They were all 22-year-old guys.
Yeah, it's like where's the, and we had all just moved here,
and they were all gold nuggets.
They were gold nuggets.
All of them. All these guys were gold nuggets.
Honestly,
Yeah.
looking back, yes, they were.
Yeah.
But it'd be like, where's the party? And we'd go to parties, and I'd be sitting at a table with like Minnie Driver,
or
really? Whatever. I'd be up in the Hollywood Hills, and I would just be at all these places, and I would meet actors that I'd seen on TV, and like we'd be talking, and it was always crazy like that.
Hey, I think I asked you this before, but you know, I guess in the late 90s, I used to walk around a lot on Sunset, and I was pretty fascinated with the glitterati and just the, you know, that stuff going, you know, just whatever, the Hollywoodness of it, you know, at that point. And I remember walking by the Comedy Store, and there was this older guy there, and I recognized him because he had a cable access show. It was Skip Elo Looks at Hollywood, I think was the name of his show.
Yeah.
And he was out there, and I started talking to him a little bit. Do you remember a guy named Skip Elo?
I don't, but if you showed me a picture, I'd probably remember him.
All right. Yeah, I was just wondered if you knew about that guy. And I don't know. I wonder if you knew about some of these other guys that were just around. When did you start hanging around there?
I didn't start hanging around there until probably I started doing the open mics there. Oh, okay. So this is interesting. So I used to do bringer shows in the Belly Room.
Oh.
For the audience that doesn't know, it's like a book show, but you're supposed to bring friends to make the audience. And so...
You don't get up unless you bring enough people?
Pretty much. And so I think 98, 99, I'm playing the Belly Room, and in my head, I'm like, dude, I'm crushing at the Comedy Store. And I even did the Original Room one time. It was the same deal. And I was like, probably the best set I've ever had in the Original Room was in like 1999. But so I started doing the open mics maybe around 2001, more so around 2003, 2004. And I get passed as a regular in 2005. So 2005 is when I really start hanging out there.
Okay, yeah, maybe that was after Skip Elo's time.
Probably. But I've probably seen him. Like, I can't keep track. Like, there's so much going on at this point. And again, like, I wasn't like really even a comedy fan.
Right.
I was a fan of all my friends.
Yeah, that's interesting. You weren't even a fan. Well, I guess you kind of liked it from the 80s a little bit.
I liked it. I was a fan in that way.
Yeah.
But then the people that really impressed me were the people I was doing open mics with. You might know some of them because some of them moved down from the Bay Area. Like, there's a guy named Brett Gilbert who was really funny. You might know Mike Hollingsworth. He was a very original comedian. Sam Tripoli was in the mix at that point. There was a guy that like immediately blew my mind because he called himself the anti-comic, which is like what everybody was going for back then.
Yeah.
But he was the one that actually called himself that.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I picked up a lot from just watching open micers because open micers in LA aren't necessarily open micers. They're like people who have done the road and just moved to LA.
That's right, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. The little tastes I got, these little small little samples I got when I did try the open mics in Los Angeles that was more in the early 2000s actually.
Yeah.
But it was interesting to see sort of what was going on. But I didn't really fully appreciate all the talent that was in Los Angeles until probably the mid 2000s or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But San Francisco was the shit.
Yeah, no, in the early 2000s, you know, it was.
I think I'm going to call it the golden age for me anyway. I mean,
was when you came up?
I came up in 2005.
2005, yeah.
And Everybody was there. You, Ryan Stout.
Yeah. Yeah, there was that showcase that you're...
Jasper Red was there.
Jasper Red, yeah.
Yeah, we can talk about that if you want to.
What, that showcase? Yeah. Well, we talked about it recently, but it was... I remember seeing... I mean, we were all... Okay, whenever people came from out of town, we all were really going to judge them hard,
Of course.
And we were going to say, like, I bet these LA people are going to suck or whatever.
Right.
But it was you and Jay Larson
and Ryan Sickler
and this woman who I don't remember who that was.
I think her name was Leah Marlene.
She doesn't do comedy anymore, I guess.
I don't think so, because I Googled Leah Marlene, and it's somebody else, like a singer. But that's not her.
Yeah.
So I could be having it wrong.
So these
but her name was Leah. I knew that.
So these 4 comedians from Los Angeles came up to do this showcase, and a lot of local people were on it too. And it was organized by this woman who was her name. Well, maybe I don't say her name, but it was organized by this woman, and I think it was some kind of showcase for MTV or something like that.
She said it was a showcase for MTV.
Yeah.
But afterwards, we found out that it wasn't. She just called up Molly, who booked the Improv, and was like, "Hey, I'm casting a show for MTV, and I want to get a look at your Sunday night." What do they call Sunday nights there?
Well, Sunday nights are kind of just a lot of the local comics. It's a showcase for local comics,
right.
But it's not. It's hard to get on that showcase.
I know, because
and it's not like it's an open mic or something.
That's why I said yes to it, because I had been trying to get on it just to do it.
Yeah.
When years prior, and they're always like, "No way, dude."
Yeah.
And so I go up there with her, and then you later find out she just gets like hammered, and the camera runs out of tape, then runs out of battery, and I find out it's not a showcase at all.
Yeah,
she just wants to go up there and throw her weight around. I guess I guess she kind of got off on. Like, I'm going to come in, I'm going to bring these comics I like, we're going to get them up on stage, and I'm not going to book anybody.
Yeah, I guess it's, why did she bring you guys if she wants to check out the talent up there or whatever?
This is an interesting situation where this woman, it's amazing what you can do if she just showed up and said she was a casting director. She did cast some things here or there, but it wasn't like she was constantly casting commercials or movies. She was casting something like every once in a while.
Yeah.
And if you're listening, forgive me. I don't know your IMDb, but that's the impression I got. And she took a liking to all those comics you saw that we just mentioned, and I was one of them. And she did know people. It was weird. Like, she knew all these people, like Nick Swartz, and she was friends with him, and she knew everybody. She just knew everybody from hanging out at the Improv bar and stuff. And so, I don't know. It's amazing what you can do if you have confidence and you tell people that you're something great. It's weird people
But why did
believe
she
it.
bring you guys up?
I don't know.
Oh, okay. She just said, "I'm doing the showcase. You guys want to do it?"
Yeah, and it was a whole ordeal. Like, you take the 5 to San Francisco, but she insisted we take.
Oh, you guys all went in the same car.
The 101. So it took us like 12 hours to get there.
And you also went on the same... Well, at least you probably maybe got to stop at Casa de Frutas or whatever.
We stopped all over the place.
Casa de Frutas is a worthy stop.
I don't know that one.
Oh, they got good treats. It's actually off the 152, which is part of that route if you take 101. It depends on how you do it, actually.
We stopped at the Madonna Inn. Was one of the places we stopped.
Sure, San Luis Obispo, yeah.
But we stopped like 3 or 4 times.
Well, next time she organizes it and she brings you guys up, you guys got to stop at Casa de Frutas.
We will.
There's some fun treats there.
Yeah.
But so
I don't know why she did that.
And where'd you guys stay?
I stayed at my brother's house, who lives my apartment, his apartment, and they stayed at the hotel that the Punchline usually. I think it was called the Commodore or something. The hotel.
The club quarters.
Okay.
Maybe. I don't know. Maybe
and the crazy part was we got into San Francisco. That moment, whatever it was, I don't know where, but you're like, okay, we're in the city now. Yeah. And she rolls down the window and she asks this guy, "Hey, where's the hotel?" Whatever the hotel you just said. She's like, "Where is it?"
Yeah.
I'm like, "You don't know where it is?" After all this, you don't know where the fucking hotel is? Yeah. You're asking people on the street? Like, I was so frustrated by the end of it. But that show was so fun, and I was right in the perfect zone to do it. And San Francisco was the perfect place for me to do comedy at the time. And it was great because I started working the Punchline. I started emceeing the Punchline after that because I had a place to stay.
Well, we thought what I was going to say was, the idea was anytime anybody came in from, not
especially
San Francisco,
LA,
we're going to judge them, right?
Yeah.
And then we were impressed, actually.
Well,
we were
thanks,
like,
man.
especially you, actually. I mean, we were just like, that guy was really funny. I mean, we were all laughing, I mean, we were all impressed by everybody, actually.
I think we're all on the same page. Like, I think we're trying to do, not the same exact thing, but like the vein of what we were just talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Like trying to do something a little different. We're all trying to do something a little different or a lot different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that, I met you that day, that night, and Jay. I mean, I remember talking to the two of you the most.
Yeah.
Meeting you guys the most for somehow, But, that was 2005, and that was 20 years ago.
20 years ago, dude.
Yeah, that's crazy. But why?
I mean, isn't that crazy, though?
No, I know.
Don't you think that's crazy that, like, 20 years have gone by?
Yeah, it's
and that
crazy.
wasn't even, like, what I consider the beginning of my career. Like, I started in 98. So that's 7 years already I'm doing this shit.
Oh, really? Okay, thanks. Well, that's just interesting. It's also interesting how, I don't know, the 2000s to me seems still kind of recent, but yet, I don't know, when you think about, the 60s, when you were in the 80s, that seems so far away.
It does seem so far away.
I mean, I wasn't around in the 60s, but it just seems like,
when we were kids,
it just seems so old,
When we were kids.
Like, yeah.
Let's put it this way. When the Doors movie came out in 1990.
Yeah.
And then they showed footage of Jim Morrison on the news. Like, they were like, it's about Jim Morrison.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Like, it was a movie review.
Yeah.
And they had actual footage of Jim Morrison. I'm like, they had film cameras back then? Like, I didn't know that, like.
That's funny, yeah.
I thought this movie needed to exist so we knew what he, like, even looked like.
Right, that's funny.
But I think the internet changes things too, though.
Yeah, there's that, but I guess it's also.
But 20 years is still 20 years, goddammit.
It also has to do, I think, with just the '60s revolution of just culture in general. It's like things became modern after the '60s.
Yeah.
Or whatever. Or the '60s was when things went from old to new.
Yeah.
And it stayed that way.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I don't know. Even because, okay, look, I guess the '80s still maybe seems. That seems like a time. It's weird because the 80s
was a regress.
I always say this I've said this so many times, and I'm sorry to repeat it to people, but even as early as 94, I was already starting to miss the 80s,
Miss the 80s?
Yeah, I started to feel like the 80s was a thing, and it's of the past, and I like the 80s a lot.
Yeah.
And I wanted the 80s back.
Right.
And I never, and it was, so it felt like the past, even just 5 years later, whereas, 2005 to me doesn't feel like the past really, and it's been 20 years.
It seems like a constant.
Something like that. Yeah,
it seems like we're in the same era.
Yeah, something like that, yeah. It doesn't feel like, I know that if you look at it, there are trends and things that define the 2000s, but I don't know, they just don't feel as... It's, what's funny is it kind of parallels what we were talking about before the show, and we'll just wrap up on this, and then we're going to do an extra, if you don't mind doing bonus time. It kind of parallels what we were talking about earlier, which was talking about this. There's a movie game I play every night. It's called the Box Office Game. You have to guess the top 5 grossing movies they give you a date, of that weekend.
Yeah.
And it's so much easier when it's the 80s and the 90s.
I know.
They're all the top grossing movies are usually, a lot of times, iconic, memorable, just classics. And when they do a date from the 2000s or the 2010s,
yeah.
I struggle so much with it. There's just nothing memorable about it. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that the last 20 years hasn't really been that defined.
So what would happen back then is movies, even if you didn't see them, you knew about them because they were referenced on talk shows. People would talk about them. You knew which movies were out at all time.
I guess we talked about this with Louis too when he was here.
I think so, yeah.
But it was just that there's so much out there now, and everybody's just into what their little thing
now
they're
it's
into.
Politics. Now you reference politics as that's our constant now. And you can be like, oh yeah, I remember I was in Florida that weekend when Trump fucking held the Bible upside down. Like, yeah, that must be March 2022 or March 2018.
Right. So I guess things are just, I don't know, pop culture is just not as, I guess it's not as shared by people, and that's why it's not as defined, maybe, or something like that.
That's what it is. We don't have the group experience anymore.
Yeah.
We were listening. I was hanging with Brendan Walsh.
It's divisive. That's it. It's with all the content that comes out now.
True.
It divides us all.
It does.
So we need to put a limit on all this media.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Less outlets. So no more TikTok.
No
okay?
more TikTok.
No more.
Oh wait, it's back.
Oh,
it's already back.
It's back. Oh well. I guess we'll just stay divided. I guess. No, sorry. You were saying something about Brendan?
No, we were just listening to this Gabe Kaplan record. The guy from Welcome Back, Kotter.
Okay.
And he's making jokes about movies like The Exorcist.
Oh, yeah.
And the whole audience is laughing.
That's funny.
And we were like, you can't do that
Right.
with movies anymore because people don't watch the same movies.
Right. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. So I guess, and then, you know what? It kind of plays into this podcast. You know, we have a very limited audience, but some of you, I guess, if you want to go even more limited, you can continue on with me and Matt here on the Patreon account. It's called patreon.com/Poundcast. You get the extended episodes, okay? And you get them a couple days early if you want. I mean, you can listen to them whenever you want, really. It doesn't have to be a couple days early if you don't want to. But if you want to get an edge in on everybody else, check them out Wednesday night at midnight.
Be the guy at the water cooler that says,
Tuesday night.
I heard that last week.
Right. Tuesday night at midnight. Be the guy at the water cooler.
Yeah.
Okay? And be the guy at the indie movie theater.
Dude.
You know?
It's still there. It's called something else, but it's still there.
It's an AMC now or something like that?
Like
the AMC 5.
Yeah. And of course they have to have like a whole bar there now.
Oh, do
I
they?
can never work there now. I don't have the skills. Can I plug?
I was just about to get to that, but real quick, if you want to watch the show, youtube.com/thepoundcast if you want to watch it on video, okay, Matt, what you got going on here?
I'm going on a tour of I'm doing comedy in Cincinnati, Louisville, Nashville, Hartford, Connecticut,
Great.
and Boston, Massachusetts. Details at thefullcharge.com, and I'd love to see you there.
It's that easy, thefullcharge.com.
Oh, and the Full Charge Power Hour. Don't call me The Full Charge, but everything I do is called The Full Charge. The Full Charge Power Hour on iTunes and everywhere else.
No, it is so much easier than thinking, okay, how do you spell Fulchiron or whatever? I mean, I know how to spell it, but maybe other people don't. They don't need to. You don't need to.
Yeah.
Just spell
the full
charge, and that's spelled the classic way you would imagine it to be spelled, you know?
The Webster's Dictionary version.
Yeah, it's so easy.
Yeah.
And that's your podcast that you do here.
Yeah, also back episodes of Roadheads with me and Louis Katz. Why not listen to that?
Oh, yeah.
Why not?
That's when you guys lived in New York, you did that?
Yeah, we did a travel podcast.
Yeah. Did you do it on the road?
Not really.
No, you
occasionally.
Just when you were at home, you would do it. Yeah. So yeah, check that out with Louis Katz. Okay, thank you to Aaron Bruntgart behind the boards. Thank you to Jack Birch behind the other boards. And I think that's about it.
Yeah.
So we'll see you in the Unzipped is what we call it. And otherwise, we'll see you next week. I'm Brent Weinbach. Bye-bye.
Beautiful.